excited to welcome to the stage and talk a little bit more about Stockyards Event Center, Mr. Brad Buchanan.
Hey guys, I'm not going to talk a ton about National Western Center because I'm going to talk a ton about National Western Center in just a few minutes. But you are in the Stockyards Event Center, so we are the home of the National Western Stock Show. That's why the National Western Center was created. So in January, you see these holes right over here? There's these massive pens that look like they would hold like a rhinoceros or triceratops or something like that, velociraptors. And so there's cattle pens out there for bison and cattle. They come in through this door, and this is an auction hall, right? Cattle auction. The rest of the year, the other 11 months of the year, when my organization we completely do operate the campus, we have everything here from corporate events to raves and concerts to MMA fights and everything under the sun. There's an arena on the other side. The punchline is, if you want to have an event, you should talk to us because it's been awesome events, really diverse events that we've been having in this space. It's a really good performance art space. It's a really good music space, and would love to have you to host an event for you. So am I starting now? Okay, cool. So vision. I think this is interesting because you were just talking about vision. I just got new lenses in my eyes in the last 60 days, like not LASIK. They took my old man lenses out of my eyeball and put new plastic lenses in my eyeballs. So I can see you all perfectly. Yes, so I have better vision. But I love this definition, the state of being able to see. That's the sort of like vision, right? That's what you would think. I think that actually is a better definition than the second one, the ability to think or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. I thought that was interesting because it's imagination or wisdom. You can't have both of those, I guess. So we're going to talk, I've had a bizarre path. I'm going to talk about my path, and I'm going to talk about some of the stuff I've done, and that's why they asked me to do this. But what I really want to talk about is all the shit that went really wrong along the way. So I'm going to talk about the stuff that I don't ever talk about. It's not anywhere on any CVs or websites or bios or anything. You're going to get the whole story today. Blood, guts, and feathers. I think I am 23 in this. It's a shoe store in Cherry Creek. It was my first project that I ran myself. And I just want to read what I wrote. This is what I thought vision was when I was 23 years old. The interplay between classical elements and informal interpretations, both in form and in color, combine to create a space filled with energy while remaining elegant and sophisticated. The finishes describe movement through the space, which is especially crucial to the success of a retail project. The movement was not confined to any one plane or direction, which allows the laminate and carpet. I'm talking about fucking plastic laminate and carpet. So vision can be bullshit, right? A lot of times vision is bullshit unless you take action. So we're going to talk about what taking action looks like and that which stands in our way of implementing our vision and ultimately living your dream come true life. I will tell you, and I will cry multiple times today, I'm just warning you, I'm living my dream life. I can't imagine it being better. So I'm not here to like brag about that. I'm here to tell the truth about what it took to get to that. And then we're going to talk about how we can unlock for you. These are some of the things I've done. I'm an architect. I worked for firms, and I was really disappointed with what firms were producing and what forces they thought acted on the design of projects. So I learned how to build things. I learned how to be a builder. I learned how to be a developer. I learned about finance. I learned about politics. I learned about community. I learned about equity. I learned about social justice. And all these things acted on our design. And we created the first in that's my cow calling me. Sorry. And I learned how to make a project that was holistically informed by all those things. And at the time we did it, we actually were told by the American Institute of Architects we could lose our architectural license because it was really frowned on for architects to get their hands dirty in the construction process. We did it anyway. I created a nonprofit called Freedom by Design, totally accidentally, but it fit. Freedom by Design does pro bono design and construction for the low-income disabled community. And where this came from is I was watching our different project teams, and our project teams, similar abilities, similar project types, similar budget. One would succeed and one would fail. And we were like, what don't you know? What aren't you doing right? We manage the budget better. You need to, do better with the client. You better do better design. What I figured out was the projects that were failing were projects that I failed to be clear about and expose the difference the project could make. I failed to inspire the teams that were working on these projects. And so we started to experiment with a phrase I coined, contributing for no good reason. We would put t-shirts on for Habitat for Humanity kind of days and that kind of stuff. But Freedom by Design was contributing for no good reason. It was anonymous, and we connected architects and designers with clients who were paralyzed, paras and quads, and we would make small, simple improvements in their home that changed their lives. All he did was talk about this and talk. And eventually we created a partnership with the American Institute of Architects Students Organization. And today there are Freedom by Design chapters all over North America. They do almost 500 projects a year. So important safety tip there is, once you do something good and get it stood up, give it away. Give it away. And let somebody else's inspiration take it and then go do something else. This was a holy shit Batman moment for me. I sold my firm in 2011 after the recession of 2009 to an architecture firm and a large firm, and I was pretty bored. There was no risk in it. Everything was insurable. There was no risk. My entrepreneurial spirit was just crushed. And Mayor Hancock at that time, this is 2013, asked me to be the planning director for the city and county of Denver. So I was the planning director for Denver from 2013 to 2018. We rewrote Blueprint Denver, which is the city's master plan. We created an incentive zoning process. We accomplished creating the planning processes that defined equity results in all communities equally as a criteria for success for planning regulations like zoning. And I know that's a lot of planner speak right there, but what it means is, how do you get the outcomes you really want? When you make a plan that just says, do the highest and best thing, the private sector comes in and just wants to make money, right? You can't have that be the only criteria. It was the hardest job I've ever done. I got the crap kicked out of me on a regular basis. I got up every morning at 5:30 in the morning and looked online because somebody was yelling at me online about some design they didn't like, traffic, pollution, the war in the Middle East. It didn't matter. It was my fault. And it was a very hard thing to experience, and it was a bit soul-sucking at the end. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Margaret, my wife Margaret, who's sitting here, we bought a 520-acre, 100-year-old cattle operation in Strasburg, Colorado. Not to have cows. I was obsessed with training and competing with field trial retrievers at that time. I'm a serial hobby obsessionist. I've had many of them. I'm a fly fisherman. I'm a pilot. My flight instructor is sitting right here, who oddly enough also engaged with me, one of my other obsessions, making moonshine. Yes, I said it out loud. I make a wicked prickly pear moonshine from the prickly pear fruit on the ranch now. But we bought this place because we wanted to train, have these dogs out there and have the family together. Our kids were young and small. And we bought this place with no intention of having cattle. We got cattle. And so since then, we are raising grass-fed, grass-finished beef, no antibiotics, no steroids, no hormones, regeneratively raised. We also farm all of our own hay. So became a farmer. We learned how to intensively, rotationally, and mob graze our cattle. We're just, my son, who is now our partner, our son is 25. We are now a second-generation cattle ranch. Life. It just, if you would have told us, 20 or 25 years ago what our lives were today, I would have told you were just absolutely insane. But this is where we live. This is where we both got up and drove in from this morning. It's 42 minutes. It's 42 minutes from the front gate at Flying Bee Bar Ranch to right here. That's something that most cities don't have. That's an amazing asset. That's what I was fighting to save when I was the planning director. How do we make a city a city? How do we make a rural place the rural place, and how do we exchange the gifts with each other that we both have to share? It also, of course, is the lack thereof is why we have the caustic political landscape that we have today. It's an us and them. It's 33 miles from here to there. That place is a different politic, it's a different economy, it's a different work ethic, it's a different family structure, it is a different everything. And the city has a ton to learn from that place, and that place has a ton to learn from here. That's why I'm doing this job. This is the mashup. The National Western Center is the mashup. The stock show has been the convening of the urban and rural place for 118 years. 700,000 people will be here for 16 days in January, and all these city people will be fascinated with the ranchers and the farmers and the ranchers will be trying to find where the coolest restaurant is in town. It's awesome. And then we leave and we go back and beat the hell out of each other on Twitter. It's just fascinating to me. So here's some pretty pictures with grass and cows, because I just can't get enough of that. It's just like grass-fed cow porn. I mean, I love this stuff. The other thing that I learned how to do is I learned to be a farmer. We bought this place from a farmer rancher named Charles Robin, God bless him. He gave us the biggest gift he could possibly give. He had an 8th grade school education and absolutely the wisest human being I've ever had the privilege to know. He retired when he sold us our place, which we have now grown to about 4,000 acres. And Charles taught us how to ranch and farm. I had my iPhone on my shoulder the first time that I was pulling a calf. He taught me how to build an H-brace on a corner of a fence. He taught me how to build and fix the water pump and replace the hydraulic cylinder. Taught me how to rebuild an engine. Taught me everything I needed to know to make my first bale of hay, to plant seed, to disc, to till, everything. And meanwhile, I'm like studying, because I'm obsessed, all of the things about farming and ranching and what it could be. And we had the most amazing discussions about soil health and raising cattle. But to raise cattle, you actually raise grass. And to raise grass, you actually got to create healthy soil. And by the way, if you create healthy soil, carbon goes back in the soil, and that is how we solve climate change. That is how we're going to solve climate change. So I learned how to farm, but I was the planning director or an architect or whatever I was doing at that time at the same time, so I farmed at night. I did most of my farming in the dark, which is really stupid, by the way, because it's dangerous enough in the light. It's not great in the evening. But I had some of these magical, absolutely magical moments alone in various diesel-powered implements in the middle of the night, cutting hay, baling hay, farming, whatever we were doing. And we're pretty good farmers. We've turned into pretty good farmers. It's been almost 20 years, but we're pretty good farmers now. And we're doing it in ways that not very many people are doing it, completely regeneratively, no spray, no chemicals ever, anywhere. The other miracle that's happened through all this process is this is my family. There's Margaret and our son Will and Grace. Yes, we named our kids Will and Grace. Just get over that. We did it first. We did it first. Enough of that story. That's been mentioned to me a few times. This is when they were young. We were living in Park Hill. We were living at Montview and Ash in Park Hill, moved out to this 1,300 square foot house with one bathroom from this old historic home we lived in Park Hill with our city kids. Our son Will, who's now our partner at the ranch, was this Harry Potter looking Nintendo playing city kid. We came home every night, we went to separate TVs and ate our dinner in the house and moved to this little 1,300 square foot house. And you talk about nature versus nurture. That's my son wrestling that steer. He became the co-captain of the Kansas State wrestling rodeo team, and he got a degree in agriculture from Kansas State. It just is. You just never know what's going to happen. So there we are today, and here's my wife, Margaret. I told you I'm going to cry. I'll get it together, I promise. When you get older, man, I cry at like TV commercials and shit like all the time. It just happens. My wife has been along and a partner in this adventure. I can't look at her. The entire time. And when you're married to somebody like me who if we're doing something the second time, I'm like bored, right? I can't. So we're doing new things, and she has been along on this ride and partnered with me and supported what we're doing and brought her gifts and skills to this process. And Margaret is a badass. She's a badass. From Park Hill, and I mean, we were living in this pretty, it was a good party house. I mean, it was just bizarre where we went from there to, coyotes in the backyard and calving. And Margaret is an animal whisperer. She studies shamanism. She is a Reiki master, and she brings a sense of the animals like I've never seen before, and a comfort with the animals that's sometimes a little scary. Here's a text that I got. Just had an accident in the bullpen. 803 did not think I was moving fast enough with the hay in my arms and went past me and kicked me hard in the thigh, and with only my PJs and a vest on, because everyone does chores in the morning in their pajamas and a vest. That's what the ranch world is. It doesn't look like Yellowstone at all. It took me off my feet and knocked me headfirst into that wood post that is there to hold one of the gates open. Got a 7-inch long deep scrape and bruise on my thigh and a big knot and cut on my scalp. Had to lay there for a minute, saw stars, feel a little sick to my stomach. I'm in a meeting with the mayor when I get this or something like that, She also texted me one time and just said, the bulls are out. I got bulls, you don't want to jack with the bulls, right? The bulls are out. And I'm like in a meeting texting from down here, like, what do you mean? What's going on? What's going on? Nothing, just dead air. And then finally text back, all good, got him back in. What? What are you talking about? I said, how? And she said, I asked them. So here's the team right now. My son, my daughter, Zach, a partner in the ranch, and Cameron, our ranch hand. That is the small but mighty team that does unbelievable stuff. If you want to learn more about us, flyingbeebar.com. So this was just like the universe like clearing things up. I spent my whole life getting ready to do this job that I'm doing now, CEO at the National Western Center. So the National Western Center is about the future of food. Is about how we're going to produce the food for 10 billion people in 2050 on the planet in a way that saves the planet. You guys have got to come back and check things out. CSU, Spur, Colorado State, the National Western Stock Show, the City and County of Denver are the partners in this project. Those are the stockyards. That was what was right here. 40,000 head of cattle, sheep, and hogs a day coming through here. We were like, if whatever is the bread basket, we were the beef basket. This is where it came from. And we're building, you're in phases 1 and 2, which is kind of everything west of between the tracks and the river. We're building 1.3 million square feet of new facilities. We've got about 800,000 of it either built or under construction. Come back and see us, nationalwesterncenter.com. There's more information. Here's something impossible that I got the pleasure of being involved with. When I was the planning director, we wanted to open up the river, except the river had these two 72-inch sanitary sewer lines. All of the sewage from the whole tributary area that is downtown Denver, from Park Hill to Sun Valley to Country Club and Polo and all that down there, all of that, when you flush a toilet or run a sink or a shower or a dishwasher, flows north along the river. Shit does flow downhill. I'm here to tell you that is a true statement. And along the river on its way to Metro Wastewater's water treatment plant. We said, great, we're going to bury those lines. We met with Metro Wastewater. Metro Wastewater said, no, you can't do that. What do you mean you can't do that? Well, we're bleeding waste heat along the way because we spend just as much money cooling the effluent as we do cleaning the effluent. And by the way, there's only a very small percentage of actual waste that's in the effluent. Most of it's hot water. And so some very smart engineer, we had people from the city there, really smart PhDs and engineers from CSU, said, wait a minute, there's thermal energy in that sewage? A lot of it. Punchline, we are now heating and cooling 1.3 million square feet of new vertical construction with the waste thermal energy from two 72-inch sanitary sewer lines. It's magic. It's magic. And it's the simplest thing ever. It's a simple heat exchange system. South of the Livestock Exchange Building, where the saloon is in that historic building, that's where our offices are actually, is the central utility plant. The sewage comes up in there. There's a heat exchanger. It pulls out heat or puts heat in. Then a freshwater ambient loop runs around to all the buildings, like this one. You're being heated and cooled from sewage right here. And there are simple heat pumps in the buildings, and that's how we heat and cool the campus. Other than the electricity that runs the pumps, it is a carbon-free system. Each of these buildings, we're going to have hundreds of thousands of square feet of photovoltaics and solar panels on these buildings, all putting juice back into the grid, which then is distributed to the low-income communities around which we are nested. Globeville, Elyria, Swansea, which I'll talk about right now. GES, they came here turn of the 20th century, late 19th century for the good paying jobs. Stockyards, smelters, heavy industrial. And if you're going to build stockyards and a smelter, you build it downstream from town because they were putting a lot of junk in the river, right? So town was upstream at the confluence of the Platte and Cherry Creek, and then we're downstream. That's why we're here. We're not here by accident. All those communities, alive and well and still struggling but proud, are here. Globeville, Elyria, Swansea. Latinos, 70% Latinos, Hispanic in GES, but also Slovenians and Eastern Europeans, people from all over the world right here. This is the melting pot of the Denver metro area, and they have been struggling for 5 generations. We're working to reverse that. For example, the procurements that we do on this campus for all of the operations, and there are a ton of them, think about it. We have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that come here every year and either buy a soda or a hamburger, or the place needs cleaned, or landscape, or power, or security, or what the hundreds of things we procure. In 2024, 69 cents of every dollar we spend operating this campus goes to a local small minority or women-owned business enterprise. That is an unheard of number. That doesn't happen. You hit 20%, you're killing it. You're killing it. We broke a whole bunch of the rules about how you're supposed to do that and did intentional procurements. We partnered with small business. We went and found small business, and it is working. There is a better way that you can do this. Meanwhile, we're running a crap ton of events. Here's a concert, a punk rock concert a couple weeks ago. There was a CU Women's Health thing here a while. If you text NW Center to 21000, you will get an appropriate number of texts. There's our social media. So this is what I really want to talk about. So I read this thing that you guys published about me talking here, and I sound so cool. I mean, it's like, I want to know this guy. Who is this? True jack of all trades, from architecture and city planning to ranching community. I mean, that's cool. That is a super cool guy. And I am a super cool guy. I admit that. I really think I am. However, I think what it also tells you, a lot of people might think, well, that must have been, that was easy for him. That's probably not for me, because for me, it's hard. It was hard. It was really hard. It was something I couldn't not do, but really hard. This is my family. That's my dad, my mom, that is me, and my sister. My dad is a now retired Methodist minister. He turns 90 in April. My mom, Kathy, school teacher, she just passed last November. And we were, like in Wikipedia, when you looked at minister's family, they had our picture in there. So there were all these rules that came with that. My dad, we had a very tough go. I mean, we fought verbally, physically, till I was in my 30s. There were whole periods of time when we weren't talking to each other for years. But service was in our veins. My dad's dad was a school principal and superintendent of schools. His mom was a school teacher. My mom's mom was a social worker. My sister is a social worker. She just retired. Service is in our DNA. But look at that guy. I I was a pain in the ass. I mean, my sole purpose on the planet was to irritate the system. At a very young age, I was poking at the system, and my dad was the system. Now, my dad was really good at what he did. He's a powerful speaker and a powerful leader still to this day. And we lived all over Ohio. He was a church fixer. So there would be a problem in a church and they would send my dad there. So I was in a new school building system group of people, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. I got to be in high school for 4 straight years. It was amazing. But it was a really hard thing to do. But I learned how to meet people. I learned how to find the bully, get in the fight right off the bat. First week on the playground, I'd figure out who the asshole was and go pick a fight. I got beat up because I was a really bad fighter, but I knew it was worth it, so I didn't have to put up with the years worth of the abuse as the new kid. This is my high school graduation picture. I mean, are you seeing the Farrah Fawcett hair thing going on there? So I look at that picture, and the pain that person is in right there, I could not tell you anything about myself. I couldn't tell you what I wanted. I couldn't tell you what I liked, what I disliked. I just raged against the machine. I got married in 1982, 2 weeks after I graduated from architecture school. That's Ann, my first wife. There are multiples. I'll break the story here early. Got married right after school because that's what my parents did. They found each other at Mount Union College. In college, they met each other and got married and had kids and had the same jobs and the same spouse. When my mom passed, they had been married for 66 years. So that was what I was going to do. I'm just on this path. I'm just going to take the next steps. Here comes 1986. Not a good year. I got divorced, got separated, I got divorced. My ex filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Still to this day, not sure what her strategy was there. But she filed bankruptcy and all the debt came to me. I got laid off from Urban Design Group, the firm I was working with. I failed. I was utterly broken. Everything that I thought was foundational for me was broken. I moved to Allens Park up in the mountains in a wood cabin and heated with wood and cooked in a little cafe. I was suicidal, absolutely considered suicide. I remember a moment when I went to bed one night, literally thinking, how would I off myself? And I woke up at some point with a shape at the end of the bed saying, "You ready to go?" And in that moment, I was convinced if I said yes, they would like push the easy button and just remove me from the planet. To my stunning surprise, I sat up in bed and said, "No." And that changed my life because I was like, okay, I must have some purpose to this thing. I ended up getting this is what started my design build career. I was up there and they were building a fire station and I went to the fire station special district meeting and I found out they were going to hire local. And I said, well, I'm an architect. I can do your building. And they said, Bruce Kester, the chairman of the special fire district, said, that sounds good. And everybody good with that? And I got hired. Like I walked in, met these people, got a job, and to design this thing. A few months later, I got a design going now, and I said, well, we need to be thinking about budget and schedule and construction. Who's going to build this? And they said, well, you're the architect. Architect, honest to God, is what he said. Don't you build it? And I said, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I absolutely do. And that started my sort of single source project delivery time. So anyway, during this time, I met a woman, also wicked good bump skier. And I was skiing about 60 days a year. So I figured that was the key to good marital bliss. That only lasted 3 years. No, nobody had any money. We didn't have any kids. So it was pretty much at that time splitting up the albums and the $300 in the checking account. So now I am 30 years old. I've been married and divorced twice. I am not the Marion type. Let's just give up on that. I was doing some contract work with an architecture firm in Denver. They gave me as a holiday bonus a coupon for a frozen turkey. Honestly, it was and I resigned. I just said, I'm sorry, this is a sign from God. I need to, and I jumped in. Thank God I found and married Margaret in 1995, 29 years and still going strong. My parents, John and Kathy, we healed our relationship. We never gave up. We never gave up. It was so hard. I don't know how many therapy sessions we did together as a family and individually. I was thinking about going in. My first therapist was a woman named Ann Feely. Is that awesome? I mean, it was like she was going to be a therapist from the moment she was born. So that's my mom and dad. What I want to talk to you about, though, is how you experience this, right? Each of us, every day, because I know if I'm you, I'm comparing myself to, oh, well, look, he's done that and he's done this and whatever. What am I doing? Oh, I always wanted to do that thing and I couldn't. There's just so many, the messages, the tapes we run in our heads about what our limitations are relentless and also virtually invisible. We're so good at it, we don't even hear it anymore. It is the water we swim in. I found a book 35 years ago that I still recommend today to people. Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, and it's affirmations. They changed my life because I started saying these affirmations just in my head, and all this crap came up about, that's not true, you're not talented, you're not smart, you don't work hard, you're not smart enough. And I'm like, yes, I am. Yeah, I can. We make it all up, you guys. We make it all up, 100%. 100%. This is not bullshit. If you get anything out of this today, own your part in whatever you see as limiting in your life. It's not anybody else's doing. You are doing this in your head. That's the challenge. The opportunity is that you can just flip it. It is truly that simple. You can intentionally live your life. You can change that message. You can literally change. I am doing affirmations in my life 18 hours a day invisibly, except they are good ones now. They are good ones. The old ones are there. They're still back there. They still do their thing. I thought about them coming in today. They were there today. This is scary shit, right? You know, I'm telling you the truth, my truth, deep, dark truth, scary. This is the campus. This is where I work. I have a board of directors with like big grown-up table bosses, and I'm telling my ugly truths here because this is all that matters. This is all that matters. We have to, each one of us have to get over and get past ourselves because that's how we make change on the planet. And you will find, I think it's a universal condition, the universal human condition. The only satisfying and rewarding experience that we have, it is love, but it is love of everyone. And it is service to our communities, whether it's global or local. It is being of service. It is being of contribution. You cannot hold somebody back if you create an opportunity, an inspiring opportunity to make a difference. And if you connect that opportunity and communicate it to somebody who has a skill set or an inclination and is inspired by that, you can't keep them from it. That's how Freedom by Design worked. All I did was talk about the opportunity, and people like moth to a flame. It's so easy. Conversely, it's so hard if you're just trying to make money, right? There's nothing inspiring about making money. Making money is actually easy. It's not that hard. It's seeing people think it's hard. Change your thinking about making money. Change your thinking about your body. Change your thinking about your relationships. Change your thinking about your health. Change your thinking about community. So here's what we're going to do. I'm hoping there's some brave souls here. What I would like to invite you to do is to have a couple of conversations with a few folks who this resonates with. And we're going to work through some tools that I found to work out, that have worked for me, on like, what's that thing that you have, that you wish for yourself, that you dream for yourself, but you're afraid to, what other limitation you think you have, or whatever inconvenience it will create for your world, because that holds a lot of people back too. There are a lot of people that count on you to be doing what you're doing now, and if you need to do something different, because that's like something you got to do, it's gonna be messy, right? And you're probably gonna piss some people off. I've pissed people off in my life when I've made significant changes. Always worth it. And they always saw the benefit and the right-mindedness of that. I have zero regrets of any of those times I took that leap into the next thing. So who was up for a conversation?
Who's up for a conversation? Because I'm going to give you the microphone.
Something you're working on. Awesome. This person right here. I'll get there first. So talk about what it is. Actually, we need 2 mics because I need to talk. That was not going to work.
What's your question?
My question is, what is your dream, and what do you perceive as holding you back from going for it?
My dream is to solidify my business, to do more design than the physical labor of landscaping, and what's holding me back is paying my bills and, the basics of getting by, rather than what I know is more connected to what I want to be doing.
So you want to be more on the design and creative side of it versus doing the physical labor of that piece?
At 50, it's tiring moving tons of
Yeah, I hear you. I get it. So why can't you hire somebody to do that part so you have more time to do the marketing and sales to get the jobs you want to get? I mean, you need more work, right? You need more work, and you need to be able to delegate something. What's holding you back from that?
knowing the knowledge of the business side.
You don't need that. You don't. It's not that hard. I started my little architecture firm when I was 26. I had not a frickin' clue. Is your financial world, and you can not answer this if you want, is your financial world in a place where it's pretty simplified? Is it really expensive?
No. I mean,
Good.
I'm a single mom, but we live in 500 square feet.
Yeah, so the nut, covering the nut, is not an inaccessible number, right? So do you have any money saved up? Some? You might, I would suggest, and that would not stop me either, by the way. It is, necessity being the mother of invention is an unbelievably powerful tool. When I got the turkey certificate and went, I'm out, I had no work, and I just said all I knew was I had to jump, and if I wasn't going to commit 100%, it was never going to happen. You need to commit. You need to decide that's the life I want, and I'm going to have that life. So here's the tool I would suggest you have. Start to visualize every ridiculous detail you can think of about what your life looks like. When do I get up? What do I have for breakfast? What do I put on? What do I drive? How do I drive? Where do I go to? Where do I sit down? What does the desk look like? What does the space look like? What's hanging on the windows? What's hanging on the walls? What does the carpet feel like? What are the tools that I'm using? Start visualize it so it is absolutely concrete in your mind's eye. By the time I opened my architecture firm and got into our first building, it was like, of course. I had seen this like rock solid for some time. And when you see that, you start making the moves, you start doing the things that a person does to be that person. What I heard from you is that I can't afford to do this.
It's scary.
Okay, well, you got to just get over that shit. If you're not scared, you're not trying hard enough. Guys, scary is not a bad thing. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is progress. I know people say that, fail fast, and all the techie stuff that people talk about that. Totally true. Failure is not that bad. My whole world crumbled, did okay, wrote a lot of music on the guitar. Really sad sounding songs, like they were so pathetic. But you can do it. You absolutely, you just need to decide that's how my life is going to be, and here's how it's going to look like. The second thing I would suggest you do, start talking to every single person you can about that life. Everyone. Your friends, strangers in the elevator, the parking lot attendant, everybody you are talking to, talk to them about it. Everybody you meet at this event and every other event you go to, start going to networking events, start going to places where clients are going to who would use your services. Figure out who the people are that hire people like you. Are those real estate agents or developers or builders or architects? Go to the places they are, and I'm happy to work with you because I've done all that stuff and I know where they hang out and I know them. And I can help connect you there too, so I'm happy to help. That's all my information right there. So thank you for risking that.
Thank you.
Go, do not give up. Do not. And honestly, if you're not a little sick to your stomach about it, work harder. Go further.
I'm going to pass the mic to another person.
Yeah.
But one thing that you said that I love is, what is that one thing that you fear? Because I'm like, when you head into that fear head first, face first, like that's when all of the growing starts, is in the failure and in the fear. So
And the pain. Learning to chase fear and pain as a goal, very productive. Very productive. Hi, what's your name?
Kelly,
Hi, Kelly.
speaking of chasing fear,
Yeah.
right here.
Good.
I am 6 months, 9 months, 12 months into a job hunt, and it's brutal out there. Brutal. Hundreds of applications, dozens of interviews, no bites that stick. Lots of second places. Lots of, we love so much about everything you do and everything you've said, then they give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's it's kind of ridiculous when you think about it.
What do you do?
I mean, at this point, it's like, what do you need me to do?
What do you want to do?
I've got a background in nonprofit arts administration, content marketing, short form documentary, films, photography.
Is that your passion? Is that what you when you go on a vacation and it's that third day of vacation and you really open up and relax? What do you really want to be doing?
I think it comes down to human connection and expression and finding a medium for that. Whatever it is, photography, writing, just being face to face with people, music. I've done it all. And at this point, my resume looks a little cuckoo bananas. It makes sense to me, but...
My resume is just a cluster. Yeah, I get it.
Cheers.
Yeah. So, are you doing that now on your own, for your own account? Are you just doing it? Are you making short form documentary films?
I'm doing everything I can outside of praying and spraying every resume, every application, 8 hours a
No,
day.
I'm talking about producing. Can you show me a documentary you made 3 months ago?
Not 3 months, but 3 years. I mean,
Yeah,
the
right now.
pandemic and
I'm talking about right now. I would start doing it because you will attract people who love what you love. People are attracted to energy. People are attracted to people who are energized, right? That's why this group comes together, right? My whole world I've attracted these amazing seekers right here and a whole blessed group of people because I was just doing my stuff for no reason at all, apparently, at least from externally. And stuff does come to you. I would really urge you to start doing it because you're not making any money right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why not make money at something you really love and attract people to that which you truly want to do? I don't get that you I would urge you to do what I talked about here too, which is get specific about the vision, the specifics of what it is you want. It's a really hard thing to do. It will bring up every insecurity you have. Oh, this is ridiculous. I'm not good enough to this. This is never gonna work. This is so far from what I am right now. How can that be? Fuck that. Just evaporate, just ignore it, replace it. You cannot disappear these insecurities. You have to replace it with a passion and a vision. I worked so hard forever to get rid of, how do I get rid of that message that I have, that limiting view I have? You don't get rid of it. You replace it with something powerful. I would also add, here's another tool, number 3 I would suggest. Get in touch with the cost of not doing what we're talking about. Yeah, it's pain. People are in pain because they live with that, what you just felt right there that I got right here from you. They live with that their whole lives. You can just stop it. You can replace it. Truly, truly, you have everything you need to be living that life and doing that thing. I know I sound like Tony Robbins. This is so true. This is physics of the universe. It is for you. It's just not for everybody else. It is for you. And you need to replace that message because you don't think it's for you. You're waiting for something to come to you. It doesn't come to you. That happens rarely when people just like needle in a haystack pick it. You know, you have to be it. You have to become it. And then it comes to you. And I'm happy to talk to you more about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're being so vulnerable, and I too would love to talk to you. For 20 years, I've been teaching a workshop on how do you take that passion and do something with it. But right now is when you need to be documenting yourself on this journey.
Oh, I love
right
that.
Right now, you are primed for huge things, and it's all in that unknown uncomfortability.
That's what I'm going to share with you. So my dirty little secret that I'm holding inside that I want to do that is really inconvenient to the rest of my world. We're running a ranch. It will sell millions of dollars worth of beef to direct to consumers. And my son and my wife, my daughter work there, and other people. So that's happening. The National Western Center's here. We're in the middle of this project. And I want to do this. I want to do what we've been doing for the last 15 minutes. I want to do that a lot. And so I've been trying to figure out, how do I do that? It's inconvenient to my world. It's not convenient. And I choose that. I choose this project because we're making a difference in community and we're making a difference, a lot of differences. I choose this. And so I said, how do I do all of it? How do I do all of it? And I do this. I was with an architecture firm on Thursday night. There's a couple of people here that were here that I was at their firm on Thursday night and doing this, working with them on this, doing this presentation. So there's always a way to scratch that itch, to get that experience. So thank you from me for letting me live my best life.
So awesome.